This topic has nothing to do with medicine.
Cool.
It has nothing to do with plastic surgery. And it's kind of like a very serious topic. And the reason that I wanted to bring it up is because I think it's a very important topic. And I think our potential audience has kids, and it's a kind of a public service announcement about a scam that's happening to kids. And I read this news article this past week, and it was about a young man named Gavin Guffey, who was a 17-year-old out in South Carolina, and he basically fell victim to a sexual extortion scam through social media. Yeah, and it ended up in him committing suicide, like him taking his own life. And it was just tragic. It was just horrible. I read it and I just was sick to my stomach, and especially because I have a son. He's 18 and my daughter's 12. And they're on social media, and that's how this thing all started. And what's even crazier is someone tried to scam me in the same exact way. Now, this was years ago. And since then, I've noticed in my inbox that there's similar types of phishing. They call it phishing to try and catch someone in a scam. So how this scam works was he was sent a direct message on Instagram, and the scammers were masquerading as a young girl. Okay. And they basically sent him a nude photo of some random young girl, and said, "I want you to send similar photos." Well, he did that, all right? And what they do is they trick kids into feeling safe by using things like vanish mode and those kind of things. But you can always record software, right? And kids are really at risk for this because. And he was a young adult. I think he was 17, almost 18. But, kids don't think about consequences like adults do, and they're more impulsive. And the reason for that is the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of our brain which does the really kind of hardcore decision making and analyzation, isn't fully developed until we're in our 20s.
Yeah.
So when you're a late teenager, really your ability to reason things out is not as good as it's going to be.
Yeah.
And so he sent the photos to them, and they said, "Hey, if you don't give us money, we're going to release these into the public. We're going to put these out there that this is you," or maybe his face. The photos weren't released or whatever he sent, but they said, "We're going to send this to everyone in your contacts list if you don't pay us money." So it's extortion, right? They basically get you to send a pic or whatever, and they blackmail you and to send them money. Well, he sent them all the money he had through Venmo, and they said, "That's not enough. We need more money." And so he ended up taking his life. He killed himself. And
did they ever find out who did it?
They haven't. No, it's probably overseas. Almost certainly overseas.
I get creepy messages all the time.
It might be people doing the same thing because they don't. Well, if it's on social media, then they're going to know if you're a male or female, most likely, unless you have an anonymous account. So they do target young men, and this is a big thing. So in 2022, so last year, there were 7,000 reports of sexual extortion schemes reported, of which half of them there were victims. Meaning, half of the people said that someone was trying to extort them, but they didn't send them anything, and the other half, 3,500, did. But how many out there probably happened that you don't know about? There's probably 10,000, 20,000 more. And there's been at least a dozen suicides in a year from these sexual extortion things. So yeah, it's really just tragic, and I hate scammers so much. And for them to do something like that to a young adult, it just makes me sick. So this was a non-medical, non-plastic surgery, but this is happening because it happened to me. So, and I didn't do it. I mean, I'm the most cynical person in the world. I think that if Jesus came here, I think he'd try to scam me out of something. I don't trust anyone.
Yeah.
So let me throw up that first pic there. So these are just the things I've got in the past 2 months. And these are on my cell phone. I couldn't even list all the ones I got on social media because just like you, have pretty big social media accounts. So my DMs are just full. But these are just phishing. Hey, I have my number in your address book, but don't remember who you are. Do we know each other? Would you like to get a cup of coffee at noon? Hey, I'm Luann, blah, blah, blah. Good morning, I have your number in my address book. This is Wendy, what's your name? I mean, these are total scams. And so these are just the ones I got in the last 2 months. But 2 years ago, I was sitting at my computer and I was actually playing video games, and I was on Discord talking to my buddies, and I get this random text. So throw it up there. I don't have the whole conversation, but I don't know if you can read it, but basically it says, "Hey, are you Grant? I'm Mandy."
I got one of these literally like 3 days ago.
Really?
And I said, and it was from a girl.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Hey girl, how are you? This is blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm forgetting who this is, but
Yeah.
where do I know you from?" And she goes, "It's me." And then she sends me a picture of herself.
Yeah,
And
totally.
I go, "Ew, I don't know you." And then I blocked.
So I think I wrote,
what the
"Sorry,
heck?"
wrong number," and then it's like, "Oh, so cringy, blah, blah." So she sends this picture, right? And I was like laughing about this because I was on my Discord and talking. I was like, "Hey, I think someone's trying to scam me." So I was like playing along, and she was like, "What are you into? Are you a creep?" I was like, "Oh, I'm into devil worship and human sacrifice." Like I was just trying to like creep this person out, Like I literally said I'm into devil worship and human sacrifice. Like she was not fazed, right? So I was like, okay. If I didn't know it was a scam.
She's like, "Tell me more."
Yeah, tell me more. So then she sends another picture. I can't remember. So she sends this picture.
Nice.
And
she
then
has them all just in her.
Oh yeah,
or-
totally. It's like, tell me what you
or
want me to
some
do. And
creepy
so I
man.
wrote something like, "I would like you level up my video game characters," and like,
That's a good one.
I know, right? And then she's like, "Pics make me horny." I was like, "Oh, you should get on Instagram." And then she's like, it says, "Show me your cock." So like, show the next one. This is what I did. I sent her a picture of her rooster.
No, the picture at the bottom below it is the funniest part.
Oh yeah, she was talking about like, I have Facebook, and it says, "Behold the field in which I grow my fucks. It is barren." And so I was just like, I just like trolling this person. And then after that, and I couldn't post what she posted because she started posting like nudes of her. Well, it wasn't her, obviously.
Yeah, it was probably an old man.
Yeah, it was like somebody like in a different country, probably. Like,
He was probably paying that girl through OnlyFans to get.
But I mean, that's the scam, right? They want you to send pictures, right?
Yeah.
Someone tried to do that exact scam to me, and of course I'm cynical.
I
as
get DMs like almost daily saying, "I'll give you $1,000 if you send me a picture of yourself." Every day.
Is that like, that's more of like a business transaction?
I know,
Like a
but if I give them a photo, they can still
Right. Oh, totally. I get what
they
you're
can
saying.
still extort me for
Right.
more.
Yeah, I got what you're saying. Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you should do that.
no, I would never do that anyways, but it's just like,
Yeah.
you
I mean,
really think that like
right.
I'm that
well, okay. So,
like,
and this is
stupid.
circling back to why we're talking about this. You and I, Travis. Hey, Travis, have you ever gotten any of these?
Yeah, all the time.
Oh, dude, okay. So, well, I was like, I've actually had the conversation with my kids. Even my 12-year-old daughter, I was like, look, do not respond to texts or DMs in social media that you don't know.
Yeah.
But they I've already kind of made them cynical. They're like, yeah, it's a scam. Like, yes, it is a scam. And I told my son the same thing. And I asked him if he'd ever heard about this, and he said no. I was like, oh, really? And I was like, well, I'm doing this segment because he's 18. He's like in that age. So I'm like, dude, don't do it. He's like, yeah, don't worry, Dad. Like, I'm not. But I want people to be aware of this because when I told my wife about this, she was like, I don't know what you're talking about, right? And so, I mean, had you heard of this?
No, I lit that text that I got this past
like
week.
you weren't sure what it was,
Yeah,
right?
I thought it was literally maybe this girl that I didn't
Right,
know.
exactly.
Because
So-
she said, "Hey, girl."
People need
like-
to be aware because there are kids getting taken advantage of. I mean, their lives can be ruined by, putting out pictures of themselves. I mean, kids are killing themselves over this. So, if you have kids or somebody you know has kids, please share this with them. I mean, and we were kind of laughing. It's not really a laughing matter, but we, try to make light of everything. But it's a serious deal. And, this kid out in South Carolina took his own life. And there was, I think, another dozen more last year. It really is serious. And it really is happening. Like, all three of us have had people that have been trying to scam us in the similar way. So,
Yeah.
It was a lady one time. She told me meet her in Lubbock, I think is what it was. And she was like,
I would have been like, yeah, I'll meet you there. Just wait for me. Don't leave. I'll meet you there.
I told her to meet me in Iowa. I was like, we can meet in Iowa and we can do whatever. But
You're like,
yeah,
I'll meet you there.
absolutely.
But yeah, I just wanted people to. I know it's not medical related, but
No,
since
it's
I have
definitely something you have to
kids-
watch for though.
And medical.
Mental,
Absolutely.
right? Mental health, right?
That's
All right,
unfortunate.
that's all.